Have you ever been to the Oscars?
No.
The Emmys? Is
The
that what you
Emmys.
went to? I couldn't remember.
Have you?
No, I've never been to the Oscars, so I've been very close to them. In fact, 12 years ago today, I was in the most excruciating pain of my life. And all I could see out my hospital window were the lights from the red carpet.
I was trying to figure out where you were and why you were in so much pain, and now it's clicking.
Childbirth. Yeah, we were living in Los Angeles at the time, and I was at Cedars-Sinai. I had back labor, so it was really painful. It was like 37 hours. Then she made her grand entrance right as the awards show started.
Really? Did you watch?
No, I don't think so.
Just
I
the
don't really
lights.
remember at that point, honestly.
I just remember calling. I lived in New York, and I was calling so much. I didn't even know labor could last that long. And at some point, probably 24 hours in, Mom was like, "Hey, you've got to stop calling. You'll know when the baby's here."
A star was born. Welcome to One Can Hope, the podcast where we make sustainability simple, low-waste living achievable, and climate optimism fun.
We're your hosts, sisters and sustainability nerds. I'm Ali, upcycling enthusiast and content creator.
And I'm Eleisha, refillery owner and low-waste lifestyle advocate.
Today, we're rolling out the green carpet for Hollywood's sustainability efforts. We're breaking down how the film industry is making some much-needed changes behind the scenes.
Plus, we'll spill some insider stories, like how Ali has a strange history of dressing future A-list actors, and my own experience of Hollywood after I married an actor.
Lights, camera, climate action.
One can hope.
We can't possibly talk about the Oscars without mentioning the recent fires in LA.
Yeah, and as someone who used to live there, we had friends that lost everything, and then a lot of friends that were without water or electricity for a long time. I mean, obviously recovery efforts are still ongoing.
And we are seeing a direct example of climate change taking place, as predicted by environmentalists for a very long time.
My biggest hope is that as they build back, they're able to implement really smart technology and building materials, because I don't think necessarily a lot of people realize just how many toxic chemicals are released in a fire in general with modern day building materials. So as heartbreaking and devastating as it is, the optimist in me is hopeful that this was an opportunity for a really amazing city to
rebuild even better.
Yeah.
And as more and more natural disasters occur, hopefully they inspire change in policies that benefit our environment and our planet.
And our people.
And our people. Now, the Oscars this weekend will still go on as planned. Fortunately, the building where the Oscars are held does have sustainability measures in place.
Right. I mean, it's a LEED certified building. They also now have refillable water stations instead of plastic bottles.
They do digital tickets instead of paper. They also offer sustainably farmed and responsibly sourced food
with vegan options.
And the excess from each event they host is donated to Chefs to End Hunger.
Plus, non-donated food and flowers and greenery are composted.
Also, only digital material is sent to judges.
You know, I've started to notice this actually more and more because we get screenings of different movies with my husband Josh being an actor. And where it used to be, we were just inundated with these DVDs that, you know, they have codes on them. You're not allowed to share them or anything like that. And then you just have a stack of DVDs that have numbers all over the screen, and it's not really something you're going to hold on to.
Right.
And you have to destroy them after you watch them.
And you own them whether you like the movie or not.
But now there are options for digital screenings. This year, actually, it's the default option, where before you had to opt into the digital option, now it's the default option. And if you want physical DVDs,
You have to
You
ask
have to
for it.
opt in.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I know.
It also probably makes it a little safer for them to keep the content just for the intended watcher.
Yeah. Who knows? But I was thrilled to have that option.
Yeah, that's great.
The other thing I was going to mention is employees will often use Rent the Runway for their dresses or their gowns or whatever. Have you ever heard of Rent the Runway?
Yeah.
Have you used it?
I've never used it, but I know plenty of people who have. In fact, when I worked at the Late Show, Steven would pay for us to go, the whole crew to go to the Emmys.
Yeah.
And a lot of coworkers would use Rent the Runway for their red carpet look.
Because you get to basically put in your size and then choose a handful of dresses that are then sent to you. So instead of buying a new dress,
And not just any dresses, these are designer dresses.
yeah, they're gorgeous. And how many times are you going to actually need to wear a super fancy dress? And Rent the Runway kind of gives you that option.
And then you send it back and they clean it and rent it out to the next person.
And then you're red carpet ready. So let's talk about the green side of the silver screen.
Yes, let's. Like their paperless set initiative.
Exactly. I personally have seen a change, and I know you have too.
Definitely.
When I started dating my now husband, Josh, he was living in Los Angeles. He's an actor for film and television. And when we were engaged, he was the lead of a sitcom. And I remember seeing just the number of scripts that he would get, and not just like one script. Then there are like different color pages that go into it.
Every time a revision is done, new pages are printed out and then put into the script.
Right.
For the actors and the directors and the producers and every single crew member that requires a script. We're talking so much paper.
Yeah, which obviously I wasn't in the lowest mindset at that point. But now going back to, last August, he was shooting a sitcom and seeing the change, even with him, how most everything was on his tablet and notes he would take and any updates would be digital. So the amount of paper used on set was drastically less than what I remember from my late 20s.
Right. And it's not only scripts. We're talking start paperwork. So every time you start a new job, which for film and TV could be you do a commercial for a weekend, or you do a pilot for a few weeks, a TV show for 8 months, a movie for 5 months.
The contracts.
Every time you start a new job, you sign new paperwork. That's all been changed to be digital. Not only saving paper, but also if you are working for a company multiple times, that information is already stored for you, which is so helpful.
Well, and even things like residual checks and all are now automatically deposited. You're not getting the printout of everything anymore.
Oh, right. Every pay stub.
Yeah.
And even beyond that, I was a costumer since 2006, right out of high school, basically, or 2007. And our job consists of taking pictures of everyone who's on camera so that their continuity is the same from one scene to the next.
Right. So you know that, they're wearing this blue shirt and this purple scarf that's tied this specific way.
Right.
That kind of a thing.
Because everything in film is shot out of order. So you might shoot a scene where a family's having breakfast at the dinner table. And in that scene, the dad puts on his coat and scarf and hat and walks out of the door. And then you shoot 5 weeks later the exterior of the house, and you're watching the dad walk out, and you have to make sure the coat and the scarf and the hat all match the same way he put it on in that first one. So that was my job, but not only for the main actors that you're seeing speak, but for every person you see on camera. So every background actor, every single person that walks by screen, you want to kind of keep track of. Obviously with less notes, unless it's a movie like Birdman that's so specific and made to look like one shot.
Right.
But when I started was the beginning of the digital camera, which is hilarious because there were still a lot of old school costumers who would go on and on about Polaroids. And now I could just never imagine these digital cameras are terrible. But we would print out every single picture. We'd have paper that you
I remember those
attach the pictures
giant
to. We'd
binders.
write physical notes on everything. Probably 10 years ago, most productions switched over to a program called Sync on Set, where not only could it all be digital, so you didn't have to print out anything anymore, but it could be shared easier. It used to be this giant binder full of notes and pictures. And if you needed it, you couldn't bring it to set. That's too dangerous. You might be able to take a few pages, but you'd run back to the truck because you forgot a page, and the truck could be 10 blocks away. Who knows?
My goodness.
But now you have it on your app, on your tablet or your phone, and it can be shared with the entire department. So if you had the pages from the binder, you were the only one that could access those pages. No one else could see them. But now anyone that with the app, and it might also be shared between makeup and hair department, so they can see your notes. So their continuity matches with yours, with props. So they see all the pictures.
So now it's all on the cloud.
Yeah.
I mean, which is great as far as access goes.
But there is a limit to how long it stays on the cloud.
Oh, good.
So I'm pretty sure that production pays for an amount of time. And then once that job is wrapped, then I don't think it just stays there. I don't know why it would.
I realized too, like last week when we were talking about the cloud, we did say that some of the data centers were being run with dirty energy, but there are some clean options. And there are some companies that specifically are thinking about
Definitely
sustainability measures and everything. I'm not sure if Sync on Set uses that type, but regardless, the fact that less trees are being cut down for the paper on scripts.
It's definitely more efficient. And honestly, I haven't been on a film set in a few years because I've been raising babies instead. But so who knows how it's changed even more. It's definitely been interesting to see what a big change was made over a decade.
I know we didn't really talk a lot of facts in the beginning, which is something we typically do, other than just to talk about where the Oscars are being held. But apparently, prior to being paperless, about 1 million pages were printed per TV show in a single season.
I believe that. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not a little more. There was so much paper.
And there's a coalition in Hollywood to make sets paperless by 2030. Since it has started, there's been an environmental savings of 1 million pounds of CO2 emissions, 1.2 million gallons of water, and 65,000 pounds of solid waste.
Wow. They're working.
Yeah, just by going paperless.
There's also a nonprofit group called Habits of Waste, which has been recruiting directors to make an effort to get rid of throwaway plastics on set and instead encourage reusables.
I've actually seen this more. It's funny because you think back to like the olden days whenever Hollywood royalty was like encouraged to like smoke on screen or whatever, right?
Do
the tobacco
coke to stay awake.
What? No.
Oh, I was just talking about the olden days of Hollywood.
No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about how the tobacco industry would pay to have their A-list celebrities smoke on screen to encourage all of the different people watching to smoke because, oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
Not cocaine. No one was saying anything about cocaine.
Not to you.
Well, no. And then you fast forward to now where there's a push to minimize the amount of plastic.
I do see it get mentioned a little more, or like a character will bring their tote bag to the grocery store or
have their reusable water bottle.
Yeah, there's
we were watching the Babysitters Club, the little television show, and in one of the scenes, a glass milk bottle made an appearance.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it's happening.
There was even a Hallmark movie, Christmas movie from last year.
Do you watch Hallmark movies?
Do I? That's all I watch. There were kids in the show, and their uncle came to visit. I don't remember exactly.
Don't spoil it for me.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but the kids went on and on about reusables and taking care of the environment, and I was like, wow, this is like being mentioned.
Well done.
Yeah.
That's the mark of a good show.
I kind of retired from the film industry in February of 2020 to get married and hike the Appalachian Trail.
Mm-hmm.
which is funny to me because COVID came to the United States in March. I think it was a week after I left the business that everything shut down anyway. And we didn't really know about it for a month because we didn't have service and we just weren't paying attention. We were hiking.
Right.
It was so bizarre. But anyway, I was day playing on a job. I just worked a week or two on a job after that, maybe in 21 or
Day playing, for those who don't know,
is just working a few days. So I was only there for a week, but it was so crazy to see how much things had changed over the course of a year.
oh, I'm sure protocols changed a lot,
Well, and-
specifically with the pandemic.
Yes, and every single piece of food was wrapped in plastic. It was a lot of disposables to try to minimize
spread.
contamination. And it was so jarring and such a difference from the set life that I had left.
Well, and probably also from the trail that you've just been
Well,
hiking.
I mean, obviously that too, but yeah. So I think since then, efforts have been made to tone it back a little bit, because there were a lot of disposables being used. I think there's been a bigger push for LED lighting, which is more efficient.
And without using like the halogen or the incandescent lighting, it's not as hot. So like on sound stages and things like that, typically you have to keep the air cool anyway. Like on a sitcom, for instance, they try and keep the air conditioning cold so that the audience doesn't get tired.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I can't even imagine how
The late show stage was freezing. I wore my down jacket year round.
a lot of people may not know this, but sitcoms where you like hear the laughter, there is actually a live audience. It's not just a laugh track. Like you're watching it happen in front of you, and the actors are all on stage in front of you with different sets.
Yeah,
Those were some really fun days for me.
I bet. Yeah, I wouldn't say they were my most fun days that I enjoyed all the time. It was very much a job, and we were there for long hours. But I had some great memories and worked with a lot of great people.
You did a lot of movies as well.
I did some
Or several
movies.
movies, I should say.
It's funny how
Kinda
it's all
blurry.
kind of a blur at this point. Dad one time asked me, like, does it ever bum you out that you didn't work on anything good?
What?
And I was like, Dad,
You did work on some good stuff.
First
The
of-
Help?
yeah, but
Oh, come on.
I was like, first of all, you get paid the same,
yeah.
whether it's a good job or a
right,
bad job. And just because it's like critically acclaimed doesn't mean it's a good job to be on.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, The Help, that was a great movie and a fun job. We had a blast on that one.
And you dressed Emma Stone,
I dressed Emma Stone and Jessica Chastain.
and then they like blew up.
Yeah, they were not well known when I dressed them. And now Emma's a 2-time Oscar winner.
And
She was lovely. And Jessica Chastain also fantastic. She was a pleasure to work with. Yeah.
Olivia Wilde was your other one. I feel like that was a no name, really.
Yeah.
I mean, not really known. And then you dressed her, and then
on the year
because
one-
of that, she
Because I
became
dressed her. Yeah, it was
much more famous.
Weird phenomenon where I dressed her on the year one.
So any young actresses out there,
Don't call me because I stay at home with my kids now. I feel like there were more. It very much felt like I would work with
yeah, I remember thinking like,
someone who nobody really knew. And then the next job they did, because I remember being on set with Emma the day she found out she got Spider-Man. And Spider-Man was a massive
what catapulted her?
job. But I do feel like there were more. And I honestly cannot think of my resume for the life of me. I can think of like the last few jobs I did.
You just blame pregnancy brain or mom brain. That's
Yeah.
the way to go.
Or like PTSD. I was trying to like block a few things out of my memory. There are definitely some actors I would happily never work with again. Anyway.
I mean, to be fair, I swore I would never date an actor. And then I married one. But he's not like your typical actor.
No. I mean, I don't know. I haven't worked with him on set, so I couldn't tell you.
No, but you know he's not.
I
Like, he's
know as a
kind.
brother-in-law, he's amazing. He's a great dad, but I've never seen him on set, and that's then a different animal comes out, is all I'm saying.
It's not like
I
that.
see all the time people are like, oh, I met them and they were so fantastic. And I'm like, oh, well, you didn't work with them. They were terrible humans. Here's what I'll say about Josh. He has asked for my advice. Like, hey, how can I respect the crew? And so I'll let him know, like, is it better if I hang up my clothes after I wear them or leave them, like, since they have to do the laundry, should I just leave them unhung? What's better? And I'm like, oh, it's always, we don't want to be thought of as your maids. Please hang up your clothes. And any actors, if you're listening, hang up your clothes. You know, like, we're not your mom. And just in general, he would ask for advice about, like, what does the crew appreciate and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's like, we just want you to learn your lines and then go home so we can go home.
And be snappy about it.
Yeah, just like learn your lines, say them correctly, and then leave. That's what you can do. Now, there are some Hollywood celebrities that I've never worked with, so I can't vouch for their personalities, but I will applaud their environmental efforts.
Or what we assume are theirs and not their publicist's idea.
Could be a PR stunt. Like, hey, we can get you on the cover of this magazine if you say you care about the whales. Fine.
Fine, I care about the whales.
What are whales again?
No.
I'm kidding. They're not all dumb. Starting off with James Cameron, who's done all kinds of stuff, but notably Avatar, which features prominent themes about the dangers of irresponsible resource extraction and environmental damage. Both Avatars were huge box office hits, and apparently...
And a Disney attraction.
Yes, Avatar World is crazy.
I've never been.
Well, put it on your bucket list.
Okay.
Apparently, Avatar 2 was powered entirely by solar energy
Really?
and served exclusively plant-based food on set.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
Isn't that
right.
interesting?
I do know that Mark Ruffalo is involved in going green.
Are you making a Hulk joke? He's big on green.
He's huge. But he did co-found the Solutions Project to switch to clean energy and fight climate change.
The last job I did was an HBO job, and in our start packet was a video presentation we had to watch where Mark Ruffalo talked about ditching single-use plastics on set and that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. He's encouraging people to go solar and has raised over $182,000 in donations for water defense.
Jane Fonda has been encouraging her followers to take climate action for years. She also launched the Jane Fonda Climate PAC with the purpose of ousting politicians who support the fossil fuel industry.
You've got Meryl Streep, who co-founded the environmental group Mothers and Others, which is an organization that supports organic farming and raises environmental issues.
Kate Blanchett has been seen on the red carpet repeating outfits over and over again to multiple award shows.
You know, I love that.
Yeah. There was an article that showed every side by side, and it's at least 20 looks that she's repeated. And she said it's not just for sustainability, but she also wants to like get rid of that taboo of you have to only wear one thing to the
Just
red carpet.
normalize it.
Right. No, she really wants to normalize it.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And you've got Rihanna, who established the Clara Lionel Foundation, with one of its initiatives including the emergency response and climate resilience to help with the increasing number of natural disasters impacting global communities of color. And there are more that we're not mentioning today. The list keeps growing. The A-list keeps growing. Should we call it the E-list?
Like the environmentalist.
Yeah, that's an E-list actor.
Environmentalist.
Oh,
Cute.
I like it. like it.
Okay.
Everyone's hoping to be on the Hollywood E-list this year. I did want to mention also the other day I called and you were saying that your toddler is really enjoying Wall-E.
It's his favorite movie. Every Saturday, we do movie and hot cocoa in the mornings. And for the past month, his movie of choice is Wall-E.
Which is a great film talking about waste and human consumption. And
absolutely. I love that it shows what the world could become if we don't take care of it.
Or ourselves.
He's 3, so I'm not sure he's really understanding that message.
Subconsciously.
But he thinks Wall-E is hilarious. And I'm hoping... yeah. I'm hoping it really sticks in there some way or another. But I really like... I mean, it's scary and it's sad, but it has a very hopeful undertone, which is nice because... Spoiler, if you haven't seen it, earmuffs. But by the end of it, they're coming back to Earth to start over.
Yeah.
There is that element of hope, and it made me want to find other movies that have...
Where you're able to comment on something that can be really heavy, but there is an optimistic spin or that level of hope where you know it can be better and the characters are working towards it.
Much like this podcast, I know.
Yeah. Oh, what podcast could that be?
It's actually in the title, One Can Hope.
Oh, nice.
But yes,
One can, like, is it about waste by any means?
It is. It's
chance?
Totally like about, it's got some heavy stuff, but they always try to put a positive spin.
Sounds like my kind of podcast.
Some other ones that I thought of were the Lorax. Dr. Seuss book and movie. Book turned movie.
Super cute.
Fern Gully.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we watched it not too long ago.
Did you?
It's great.
And then less cartoony, if you're into that sort of thing.
If you don't have a toddler.
Erin Brockovich.
Oh, yeah. Also really strong female lead.
Yeah, a lawyer fighting against pollution that is causing health problems among people.
The residents.
And she fights against that. And then some documentaries that were really great. Biggest Little Farm.
That one was so good.
They at no point say like environmentalism or climate change. I don't think.
They're just talking more about permaculture.
Right. And having the land work together, having everything work together for the greatest success. And it's so uplifting and beautiful and magical.
Kiss the Ground, also very enlightening.
Right. And narrated by Woody Harrelson, which is another
A-lister.
A-lister. Yeah, and that's all about no-till farming practices.
Right. Because you kind of learn that that's what's leading to the desertification of farmlands.
Right.
Really fascinating.
Very informative, but you walk away feeling like, oh, okay.
We can do this.
Changes can be made. So that was nice. I had seen, there was a movie that was labeled as a comedy. Sci-fi comedy, Don't Look Up. That one did not make me feel good.
That's a comedy?
Yeah, I think it's like a dark comedy.
It's very
dark. That one did not make me feel hopeful or good.
Well,
in
maybe
fact,
if you
I
look
was
at it,
sobbing at the end.
Maybe if you look at it more as like a mirror of like what could happen if we don't change.
Yeah, that one felt heavy. Jonathan, my husband, walked in on me and I had just finished it and the credits were rolling and he was like, oh, how was it? And I just started sobbing and I was like, I hated it. It felt like such a sad reality.
It's a great movie. Like,
it is.
I would say it's a great movie. You do hate it though because of how real it feels.
Yes. Those are I would love to hear if you have more movies that inspire hope, but they're about the climate or the environment. Please let us know on one of our social media channels. Have you heard of the Bechdel-Wallace test?
Yes, I have several friends that are female writers. And so this is where I've learned that from. The Bechdel-Wallace test basically analyzes a script or a production and measures the level of female representation in the film.
Right. And there's a specific criteria that they use.
Yeah, there are 2 questions. The test asks if there are two female characters that have a conversation about something other than a man,
Right.
because can you imagine talking about something other than men all the time?
Have we passed it?
And then do those two female characters have names?
This is funny. I saw an argument for Jurassic Park passing the Bechdel test because Laura Dern spoke to one of the dinosaurs who was female.
No.
Now, this was just a giant fan. This was a woman who was a giant fan of the movie saying, like,
Oh,
I
so
need
she's
it
trying to
pass.
justify it?
Yes.
Hilarious. It is funny to watch movies with that in mind and go, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, wow, this doesn't happen nearly as often as I thought it would.
But I thought it was really fascinating that they have a similar type of test for climate change.
Yeah, it's called the Climate Reality Check. And that asks whether in a given story, if one, climate change exists, and two, a character knows it or acknowledges it. And so I think the first time they used it in the Oscars was last year, 2024.
Right.
And they were surprised to find that 3 films actually passed the test.
Ooh, which 3 films?
One was Naiad. It's about Diana Naiad and her attempt to swim from Cuba to Florida. But in the movie, they explicitly mention how climate change is an obstacle because it's putting jellyfish in parts of the water where they shouldn't be.
And they specifically mention climate change as the reason.
Yes. The next one was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Apparently, they mentioned how the next war is going to be a cold one. It's going to be a ballistic war over rapidly shrinking ecosystems and a war for the last of our drinkable water, breathable air, and dwindling energy. I know that one of the stipulations for this test is that it has to be set on Earth in present day.
Oh, okay.
So it can't be fictional. And also, they mentioned Flower
It can't be a fictional world like Waterworld. Is that what you're saying?
yes. But also they mentioned Flowers of the Killer Moon was very much about the problems with digging for oil. But it's set in the past, and it wouldn't have made sense for that to come up.
Got it. Okay.
You know, like,
But then the last one that passed the test was Barbie. Are we just assuming, are we talking about...
It's set on Earth still. So...
Right, Barbie Dreamland's on Earth? Or is that not the part we look at? We look at the part where she's in California.
She's in California.
Okay, got it.
And in it, the teenager...
Oh yeah, she mentions to Barbie in a kind of like heartbreaking moment for Barbie. Doesn't she like blame Barbie for...
A little bit. This is the quote she says. To Barbie, you set the feminist movement back 50 years. You destroyed girls' innate sense of worth, and you're killing the planet with your glorification of rampant consumerism.
I mean, it's not Barbie's fault.
Oh, not Margot Robbie Barbie, for sure. She
And
had
not
just
not
gained
the doll.
consciousness.
It's not the doll. The doll has no consciousness at all.
So next time you watch a movie, see if it passes the climate reality check. I think it's a fun little way to ramp up date night.
We've given you the script. Now it's time for you to go forth and direct your own low-waste life.
Keep making sustainable choices because the best kind of sequel is a greener planet.
And every action you take is a star performance.
Can we try that again with a little more feeling?
And every action you take is a star performance.
One can hope.
One can hope.